Hi, so this video we are going to mainly, the main aim of this is to deal with colors and to explore the color options in GeoGebra. So we're going to be stuck in the properties window for quite a while. In order for that to, I think, stand out and be to see how powerful the coloring can be, what we're going to do is we're going to add another sequence into our object here. So, and remember, save every time we do anything that you are at all scared about. So what I'm going to do is we're going to look at this definition. I'm actually going to drag it out a little bit because we're going to need a lot of room. And we are going to make this thing, which is one sequence, we're going to make this two sequences. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type, at the start, I'm going to type sequence and open your bracket. So now we're making a sequence of sequences of circles. And at the end, we need a new control letter. So the control letter in our first sequence was I. Then in the one we are then going to do, the control letter, I always go to J because I, J, K. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start that at 1 and then I'm going to end it at M because I built the slider M already. I'm going to use that to control how many extra sequences we make. And now we'll look at the algebra window in a second. So what's going on now is we've got a sequence of sequences, but we haven't got anything interesting happening because we haven't put J in anywhere at all in our sequence. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to put J in as the number in front of sign, and that's the up and down coordinate. So that's going to change how the objects, the circles, move. Instead of going in a very oblique, if that's the right word, ellipse, they're going to go in much more circular orbit, I hope. I have no idea really. So let's see what's going to happen. I'll just unhide that and then let's animate and let's watch the computer. Okay, this is exactly the same as it was because M, as you see, is 1, so there is only the one sequence. But now what happens if I change M to 2? I get this whole second set of points. And what if I change M to 3? We've got, is that 3 sets of these things? Yeah. And what if I change it to 4? I'm also watching for this thing to become unhappy with me. Or 5. Or 6. So we do have to be careful, and I'm going to just pause it. We do have to be careful. Now when we're making sequences of sequences, like the first sequence is 9 circles at the moment. And if we make a sequence of sequences, currently we've now got 54 circles. So every time we're increasing this M by 1, we're actually adding 9 objects onto the screen. And when we get to sequences of sequences of sequences, things get complicated very quickly. Now I actually quite like that. It does look, oh, and things have just gone. No, things are okay. It turns out I'm controlling the A slider with my cursor keys, which I haven't seen before, but I want to turn that animation on again. And then the M, let's bring this up. Actually, I like that quite a lot in a weird and stacky coin kind of way. Apologies, 1 second. Thank God for mute function. So there we go. Currently we've got 99 circles flying around on screen. I'm going to drop it down to 7 and 7 just to see what we can see if we can make anything interesting happen. I like that. It's fairly simplistic is the wrong word, but just has a nice little structure to it. So let's have a look and let's see if we can make colors make this pop out in a different way. I think we might be able to. So we right click our object properties Okay, let's shrink it a little bit. And actually, for the moment, we don't read. I'm going to leave the algebra window, but I'm going to leave it as small as possible because we really don't care about that for now. I'm leaving the slider there just so I can pause it. But the two windows we're going to want to go for now are color and style. Now, this looks a little bit wonky because of the 48-point font. It's usually designed for about 20, so the numbers aren't as on top of each other. So when you're doing it yourself, it won't look like this. But all shapes that we do have a fill, an inside, and they have an edge. And we can choose to accentuate the edge, we can choose to accentuate the fill, or you can often, once you're happy with your sequence, you copy it exactly into a new object and have one version have a fill you want with a certain color and the other version have the edge you want with a certain color, and then can make the things look really exciting. I like using ridiculous colors because too much of maths is very staid and uninteresting or grey. So I like seeing what I can do with, let's see, I've never tried that kind of color before, so let's have a look at that. So I've made it this color, and you see this opacity here. So this is what I know as the alpha channel, I presume still called the alpha channel. It is, all colors have a red channel, a green channel, a blue channel, and then an alpha channel, and each one of those has a numeric value, usually, I think. Here GeoGebra calls it opacity instead of alpha. So if the opacity is 0, it is completely see-through and invisible. If the opacity is 100, it is completely opaque, which can be useful, but I think that there obscures some of the cool stuff we've got going on. So what we can do is we can make the shape a little bit visible. And what happens when things are a little bit visible, each one is a tiny bit visible, or each one has a few percents worth of opacity, the more and more of them that get layered on top of each other, the darker the things become, and then you're playing with the interactions and intersections of shapes. Now this doesn't look spectacular, I think. This is probably more suited to taking advantage of the outside edges, but for the sake of it, we are going to, why don't we remove the edges? And that is found in style. We could do line thickness. We can make the lines really thick, or we can make them as thin as possible. And then we also have the opacity there. So I'm going to make the lines as opaque as possible. And I'm going to look and see what's going on here. Okay, I'm not so sure that that helps at all. Kind of a nice kind of jellyfishy feeling about things, but I'm not sure it's taking advantage of the mathsy stuff that we've got happening there. So what I'm going to do is, let's go back in and let's make the thing completely opaque, and then let's play around with the line thickness and the opacity of the lines themselves. So let's see. Try a bit more. Maybe it's the color that was a problem. So let's try to change the color again. And this is what we do. We try something. We do our. Oh, there's a nice eye melting green. Oftentimes I find that the thinner the lines, the better, especially when you got more and more things going on. But it can be hard to see. So every single different thing you make will have slightly different. Okay, that's okay. Have slightly different requirements. So let's say we go, okay, I'm happy with that color, but I'm not so sure about how well it interacts with the white. What we can do is we can right click we get this tool here, get to move graphics tree, right click, go into graphics, and we can scroll down and go to background color under miscellaneous, and we can change that to whatever we want. Hit preview, no, just hit OK. No, that definitely did not help. Red, how's that go? Oh, that's very hard to see the green, but maybe we want that. Maybe we like the fact that it's really upsetting. Okay, not sure about this one, but it's adding something to it. The green and blue are doing something together. So maybe if we go, okay. So I like the way the green and blue look, but the green needs to stand out a bit more. So let's make it a bit thicker. Let's make it a bit less transparent. Let's see what it looks like now. Oh, sorry. No, I don't think that worked. But this is the idea, that we find something that, some combination of thicknesses, opacities, transparencies of the shape that help bring the geometry to life. Actually, it's beginning to look good there. Now maybe if I was to increase M, zoom out a bit, even that might. There we go. Something interesting is happening now. Now it is getting quite jumpy, but that is mostly, or it is all the GeoGebra drawing it live. When we do an export to GIF, it will become as smooth as we could possibly want it, and that's what I'm going to do in the next video. I'm going to do an export and show you how those things work, and how we can choose an increment and an increment in the slider and an increment in the GIF itself to make the things suit, to make the GIF that we create suit the needs of the animation. So hopefully that was a nice introduction for you on color, and we will play around with color a bit more when we do a bit more with connecting sequences of lines together, possibly sequences of polygons. But for now, I hope you know what you need to do to change things and get things looking in a way that expresses your aesthetic ideas as well as your mathematical ones. Cool, thank you.